Hello everyone and welcome to Abundantly Minimal. My name is Sarah and today is day 13 of Minimal May. We are almost halfway done. This month I'm providing different videos all related around minimalist concepts, and if this is something that you are interested in, I'd love to have you here as a subscriber on my YouTube channel, and you can check out the link below for a free 8-step copy of my minimalism guide for a transition to a minimal life, as well as the declutter challenge guide. So let's get into today's video. We are going to talk about how you eat like a minimalist. Now I find online that there's a lot of discussions about minimalism, tips to travel like a minimalist, minimalist room tours, a lot of those, and I know I've made some of those myself, but I feel like I haven't found as much of eating like a minimalist. And I think part of the reason for that is that it could mean a lot of different things to different people. One of my favorite food bloggers is the Minimalist Baker, and so she kind of has the principle of one bowl, 30 minutes or less, and less than 10 ingredients to make all of her dishes. So I think I get a lot of inspiration from her when I'm cooking, but as far as the general everyday principles when you're just eating and you're not really following a recipe, I think that it's kind of tricky to come up with what those principles are. I did a little reflecting, and for me I found that there were 5 major principles for what eating like a minimalist is. So what are these 5 key principles? I wish I came up with a cool acronym for them, but I couldn't really, so let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for one. But the first principle, healthy. I'm very into health, and even though I'm not perfect with my diet, it still matters to me about that I'm getting enough nutrition in my diet and getting all of the required nutrients. So healthy, I think healthy food should be included in a minimalist diet. Ideally, we want to fuel our bodies, and there's a lot of products out in the market that don't fuel our bodies with the nutrition we need. Either they have lots of additional ingredients to them that make it overly processed. Maybe it's just like empty calories. There's a lot of refined sugar or refined grains. There's a lot of these products on the market and they can be very delicious, but the idea of trying to at least, as much as possible, find foods that will nourish us, that contain really good macronutrients and micronutrients. Those are some of the best to choose. So I think a minimalist diet is largely healthy. Affordable is another part. Even though I know I just talked about the healthy part, sometimes there is a misconception that if you're eating healthfully, it has to be expensive. But I think affordability is really important because with a minimalist lifestyle, you do try to save money and simplify your life in terms of your expenses. And so eating healthy doesn't have to be a really expensive choice. Some of the healthiest items, such as beans and legumes, for instance, when you're buying them dried or even in a can, they're some of the cheapest foods available. So finding those foods that are healthy and affordable still. And in general, if you're making things more yourself, then that tends to bring costs down, but keeping things really affordable, I think, also is important, especially if we're trying to promote a more minimalist way of eating for others. If we're trying to do that and saying, well, you can only shop at Whole Foods and it's gonna cost you at least this much money. I mean, I love Whole Foods, but there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of ways that you can eat a very healthy diet without spending a ton of money. Next one, it needs to be simple. There's a lot of great recipes out there, but they're either too complicated, too time consuming, and the reality is a lot of us just struggle already maximizing our time and don't have the hours to slave away cooking for a nightly meal. I believe that a minimalist way of eating should be simple. In general, maybe you do splurge here and there and cook more fancy items, but keeping it simple, finding basic staple items that work for you and repeating those, I think is fine. I mean, that doesn't mean you have to eat the same thing every single day for lunch or breakfast or dinner, but give yourself somewhat of a routine, and then you won't have to have as many ingredients on hand. You're not gonna have to necessarily run last minute to the store because you forgot something. It kind of helps you have somewhat of a plan. I think another principle for a minimalist way of eating has to do with not eating too much. Overeating as a whole can be really costly to your health, costly in terms of expenses, and ultimately can just make us not feel that great. I know I myself have sometimes had problems with this, especially if it's something like dessert. It's kind of if you go to a really nice restaurant or like a buffet and you can tell when your body's full, but then you keep eating. So there's a really great Japanese principle that I like that basically you stop eating when you're 80% full, because since your body has a delayed reaction to get fully filled up, stopping at 80% means that you won't hit over that line where you're just like, oh, I ate too much. So not eating too much, I think, is also a really important part of a minimalist way of eating. Some words I also like from how we can kind of connect this to Michael Pollan, if you've heard of him before. It's a general phrase, eat food, mostly plants, not too much. So the idea of in moderation, even if it's something that is really healthy, we still don't want to overdo it. And then finally, ethics. So trying to eat food that is ethical, that's going to look a little different for other people, but for me, I value eating organic food when possible. I eat a vegan diet, so I'm not consuming animal products. And I love if certain items are fair trade, like chocolate or sugar, then those are really exciting to me. So these are some different ethics that I like to support when I'm eating. Obviously, it's going to depend on the person, but trying to think more about our food system, all the steps along the way, rather than just the end product that you buy at the store. Thinking more about those ethics, I think, can be really powerful, and it does have a lot of implications for social impacts, environmental impacts. So this can be really huge and is a great way to also tie in your ethics to what you're consuming. So again, this is a pretty subjective topic, but the 5 main aspects came up with today: looking for foods that are healthy, affordable, simple, not eating too much, and finally, ethical. Those are principles that for me, I try to apply as much as I can to eat more like a minimalist. Now, if this is something of interest to you, I know this right now we're in May and Minimal May. Later this summer, I am actually going to be releasing my first cookbook. So I'm pretty excited about that. I am really passionate about food and love cooking, love making recipes, love eating. So there is going to be more about that, and it's actually going to be a cookbook where you can make, with a certain number of key ingredients in the book, you can make any recipe. I'll be giving more details later, and once June hits, I'll especially give more details. But for the time being, I just want you to know that's coming up ahead later this summer, if this is something that's valuable. And again, with these same principles, I try to apply them in my work on this cookbook as well. So again, thinking about things that are healthy, affordable, simple, eating not too much. I guess that's more not really recipe oriented, not eating too much, and then ultimately ethical. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content that I post, feel free to check out the link below again for my free guides, or to subscribe to this channel, or both if you want. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.